Hey everyone, it's me, Evelyn. If you've ever been told you're too emotional for business and cut out of your family's will because you're not strong enough, while your brothers got the entire company, then this story is going to make you furious and then fist pump like crazy. This is my revenge recall. How my family excluded me from dad's will at the reading, calling me too soft, how I vanished, invested every penny anonymously, and returned as the silent majority owner of their precious company, then took it apart piece by piece right in front of them. I was 32 when they cut me out, but let's go back to the day that lit the fire. I grew up in the Langford family shadow. My father built Langford Logistics from a single truck into a $500 million empire, warehouses, fleets, government contracts. My older brothers, Marcus and Ryan, were the golden boys, football stars, business degrees, board seats by 25. I was the quiet one, loved math, numbers, patterns. Became a financial analyst at a top firm, spotted market trends no one else saw, built a perfect track record. But to my family, I was the sensitive girl who cries at movies. Dad got sick suddenly. Last month's, I was there every day, hospital runs, managing his care, holding his hand when the pain hit. My brothers showed up for photos and updates. The will reading was at the family estate, lawyer, notary, us around the big oak table. I knew the boys would get the lion's share. Fine, they'd been groomed.
But I thought I'd get something.
Recognition, a seat, a share. The lawyer read, company, estate, investments, all to Marcus and Ryan. My name not mentioned.
0.
Marcus smirked. Ryan gave that condescending pat on my shoulder. Mom whispered later, Evelyn, honey, you're not cut out for this. The boys will take care of you. I asked the lawyer alone. Nothing. He shook his head. Your father's note. Evelyn is too soft for the cutthroat world. Protect her from it. I drove home numb. That night, I opened an anonymous brokerage account. I'd been quietly investing for years, side portfolio no one knew about, $750,000 saved. I went all in. High-growth logistics tech, competitors to Langford, short positions on suppliers my brothers overpaid. I vanished, quit my job, moved 3 states away, changed my name legally to my mother's maiden. Told no one. Theo was 5. I told him we were on a big adventure. Enrolled him in school under the new name. I worked remote as a freelance analyst under a pseudonym, top-tier gigs for hedge funds. Every dollar reinvested. I knew the company inside out. I'd read every report since I was a teen. My brothers ran it into complacency. Missed tech shifts, bloated costs, zero innovation. Perfect vulnerability. By year 4, my portfolio hit $80 million. I started buying Langford shares quietly through layered trusts, offshore entities, nominee accounts. No flags raised. The stock languished, no one watching closely. At the 5-year mark, I owned 51%.
Control.
I called an emergency shareholder meeting as the majority owner. Walked in unannounced. Marcus was presenting quarterly numbers, flat, boring. He looked up. Evelyn?
Security.
How did you? I took the seat at the head. Smiled. Actually, it's majority shareholder Evelyn now. I slid the thick folder across the table. Share certificates. Proxy votes. Legal proofs. 51.3%. The room froze. Marcus flipped pages frantically, face turning purple. This is impossible.
Fraud.
You don't have. My lawyer, the best corporate shark money could buy, stepped in behind me. All filings are public record. Ms. Langford controls the majority. Meeting called to order. I stood. First order, new board election. My nominees. Votes cast swift, mechanical. My people in. Marcus and Ryan out. Marcus slammed the table. Dad built this for us. You're destroying his legacy. I met his eyes, voice calm. Dad built this for excellence. You destroyed the legacy by running it into the ground. Missed tech shifts, bloated costs, zero innovation. I'm saving it. Security escorted them out, polite but firm. No scene, just the door closing. The comeback wasn't loud. It was legal, calculated, absolute. and it felt like the highest return I'd ever modeled. The first 3 years after the will reading were a silent, relentless grind that forged me into something my family never saw coming. Theo was only 5, confused why Grandpa's big house and trucks weren't ours, why Uncle Marcus and Uncle Ethan got everything. I moved us to a quiet city 3 states away, rented a modest apartment under my mother's maiden name, legally changed no trace. I told no one, not my mother, not old friends. I vanished completely. Theo thought we were on a special adventure. I enrolled him in school under the new name, homeschooled at first to keep him close. I quit my job at the firm, took remote freelance financial analysis gigs under a pseudonym, high-paying contracts for hedge funds and private equity. I worked 18-hour days, mornings with Theo, afternoons school drop-off, nights spreadsheets and market research. Every dollar earned went straight into investments. I'd been quietly building a side portfolio for years, no one knew. Starting capital, $850,000 saved. I went aggressive. Logistics tech startups, AI supply chain disruptors, short positions on overvalued suppliers my brothers relied on. I lived like a shadow. No social media. No family holidays. No contact. Theo and I built new routines, library visits, park picnics, me explaining stocks to him with candy as shares. I studied the family company obsessively, public filings, earnings calls, insider moves. My brothers ran it into complacency, missed digital transformation, bloated overhead, coasting on dad's reputation. Perfect vulnerability. Year 1, portfolio doubled to $1.7 million. Year 2, $12 million with a lucky early investment in a logistics AI startup that exploded. Year 3, $85 million as I scaled into private rounds and options trading. I started buying Langford Logistics shares, quietly, through layered trusts, offshore entities, nominee accounts. No flags raised. The stock languished, no one watching closely. By year 4, I owned 28%. Year 5, 51%. Controlling interest. I scheduled an emergency shareholder meeting as the majority shareholder. I flew in the night before, checked into a hotel under an alias. Theo stayed with a trusted sitter. He was 10 now, old enough to understand. Mom has important work. The morning of the meeting, I walked into the boardroom in a tailored navy suit. Marcus was presenting quarterly results, flat growth, excuses about market headwinds. Ethan beside him, nodding along. Executives around the table, coffee cups in hand. Marcus looked up mid-slide. Evelyn? Security. How did you? I took the empty chair at the head. Smiled. Actually, it's majority shareholder Evelyn now. I slid the thick folder across the table. It stopped perfectly in front of Marcus. Share certificates. Proxy votes. 51.3% ownership. Verified by the transfer agent this morning. The room froze. Marcus flipped pages frantically, face turning purple. This is impossible.
Fraud.
You don't have. My lawyer, the top corporate litigator in the state, stepped in behind me. All filings are public record. Ms. Langford controls the majority. Meeting called to order. I stood. First order, new board election. My nominees. I read the nominees, my people, industry veterans, tech disruptors, sustainability experts. Votes cast via proxy, swift, mechanical. My slate elected unanimously by my shares. Second order, removal of current officers. Marcus Langford and Ethan Langford are relieved of all duties, effective immediately. Compensation packages terminated. Company direction changes, starting today. Marcus slammed the table. You can't do this. Dad built this for us. I met his eyes, voice calm. Dad built this for excellence. You destroyed the legacy by running it into the ground. Missed tech shifts, bloated costs, zero innovation. I'm saving it. Security entered. Polite but firm. Marcus and Ethan escorted out. No shouting. Just the door closing with finality. I sat in the chairman's seat. The new board applauded. The comeback wasn't loud. It was legal, calculated, absolute. and it felt like the highest return I'd ever modeled. The boardroom meeting day was the culmination of 5 years of silent warfare, the air thick with the scent of old leather and fresh panic. The Langford headquarters boardroom hadn't changed. Dark mahogany table, Dad's portrait glaring down, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city he'd conquered. Marcus sat at the head, presenting quarterly numbers to the board, stagnant revenue, excuses about economic headwinds, the same slide deck recycled for years. Ethan beside him, nodding like he understood. Executives around the table sipping coffee, bored. I walked in unannounced at 9:05 a.m., right after the agenda item, CEO update. Security had my name on the list now. Heels silent on the carpet. Marcus looked up mid-sentence. Evelyn, this is a closed board meeting. Security. I took the empty chair at the opposite end, the one no one ever dared sit in. Smiled. Actually, it's an open shareholder meeting now. I called it. The room froze. Ethan's coffee cup paused halfway to his mouth. I slid the thick folder down the table. It stopped perfectly in front of Marcus. Share certificates. Proxy votes. 51.3% ownership. Verified by the transfer agent this morning. Marcus flipped pages frantically, face turning purple. This is impossible.
Fraud.
You don't have. My lawyer, the top corporate litigator in the state, stepped in behind me. All filings are public record. Ms. Langford controls the majority. Meeting called to order. I stood. First order of business. Election of new board. I read the nominees, my people, industry veterans, tech disruptors, sustainability experts. Votes cast via proxy, swift, mechanical. My slate elected unanimously by my shares. Second order. Removal of current officers. Marcus Langford and Ethan Langford are relieved of all duties, effective immediately. Compensation packages terminated. Company direction changes, starting today. Marcus slammed the table. You can't do this. Dad built this for us. You're destroying his legacy. I met his eyes, voice calm as a locked spreadsheet. Dad built this for excellence. You destroyed the legacy by running it into the ground. Missed tech shifts, bloated costs, zero innovation. I'm saving it. Ethan finally spoke, voice cracking. You were always too soft for this. How did you even? By being smarter than you thought, I said. While you coasted on Dad's name, I worked. Quietly, patiently, compounding. Security entered, polite but firm. Marcus and Ethan escorted out.
No shouting.
Just the door closing with finality. I sat in the chairman's seat. The new board applauded. The comeback wasn't loud. It was legal, calculated, absolute, and it felt like the highest return I'd ever modeled. The months after the boardroom takeover felt like the final line of a balance sheet I'd been balancing for years. Every entry reconciled, every debt collected, the bottom line in black. The leaked video of my entrance and the vote went viral in business circles. Hundreds of millions of views, dissected on CNBC, Harvard case studies titled The Silent Majority, viral LinkedIn posts of my brothers' faces draining of color. Hashtag Victoria Takeover trended in finance groups for weeks. My personal net worth crossed 9 figures as the stock soared on the new direction. Messages came in by the thousands. Women in corporate who'd been passed over finally negotiating board seats, daughters excluded from family businesses building their own funds, young analysts saying, "You made me invest quietly until I owned the room." Some stories hit hardest. A woman sent her new C-suite contract. "Because of you, I stopped letting my brothers manage my career." Another shared her daughter's first investment account. Generational wealth, but earned this time. I read them during late-night reviews. Theo asleep, tears blurring the quarterly reports as I realized how many futures I'd helped fund. The company exploded under my leadership, pivoted to AI-driven logistics, sustainable supply chains, partnerships with global giants. Revenue tripled in 2 years. Marcus and Ethan's attempts to sue?
Dismissed.
Their reputations? Toxic. No board would touch them. Marcus showed up at my headquarters 8 months later. No appointment. looking broken in an off-the-rack suit. Victoria, you took everything. Dad's company. Our name. Theo thinks we're failures. Was destroying us worth your revenge? Theo was in the innovation lab next door, presenting his school project on supply chain efficiency to interns. For a second the old, too soft label flickered. Then I remembered every ignored idea, every patronizing protect her comment, every night I invested alone while they spent Dad's money. No, Marcus, I said, voice steady as a locked balance sheet. You destroyed us the day you decided I wasn't worthy of Dad's legacy. I didn't destroy the company. I saved it from you and made it worth more than you ever could. He had nothing left. Security escorted him out. Years have passed now. The company is valued at over $5 billion. Industry leader, my name on the building. Theo's in college on a scholarship he earned, interning with me summers, proud of a mom who turned exclusion into equity. We live powerfully quiet, modern home I paid cash for, every decision mine. My mother visits sometimes, silent about the past. Marcus and Ethan work mid-level jobs, low profile. They see Theo occasionally, neutral coffee shops, polite. People still ask in interviews or comments, do you regret the takeover? Was it revenge? I always give the full return. It wasn't revenge. It was reallocation. Reallocation of capital, control, and credit from people who thought family meant protecting me from power. The moment I stopped letting them undervalue my potential, I gave every overlooked daughter, every soft woman, every person cut from the will permission to buy a seat at the table, majority stake, full voting rights. If you're watching this and you've been cut out, called too soft, told the empire isn't for you, hear me. You can disappear quietly. You can invest small, one share, one skill, one boundary. You can compound until your ownership is undeniable. Your voice is the deciding vote. And when you do, you'll realize the only weak investment was ever letting them decide your worth. That's my recall. Not inherited. Just calculated, acquired, and finally mine. Thank you for listening. If this hit home, share your reclaimed stake below. Someone needs to know they can buy it back too. See you in the next one.